This is Jeremiah Riggins from Sanctuary Family Farms. I'm married to Katie Riggins, and we have two boys, Ben and Sam, who are 10 and 13 years old. In James 2:14 through 17, it says, What use is it, my brothers and sisters, if someone says he has faith, but he has no works? Can faith save him? If a brother or sister is without clothing and in need of daily food, and one of you say to them, Go in peace, be warmed and filled, yet you do not give them what is necessary for their body, what use is that? In the same way, faith also, if it has no works, is dead, being by itself. And in Around the Supper Table a few weeks ago, Paul and I were discussing the ideas of discipline versus doing things because it was who you were or what you desired or sought after. This idea is difficult for me because on the outside, I appear to be disciplined, but on the inside, if left to my own devices, I am quite undisciplined. I compensate for this by creating habits to keep me moving. I get up at a specific time, I read my Bible and pray at a specific time, I work out, I go to work, and I eat at specific times. I live by my schedule to combat my desire to do nothing. So the idea that living a life of discipline wasn't the highest we could achieve was a little hard for me to grasp. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with discipline. I guarantee that if you don't set aside time to study your Bible, you probably won't. However, discipline is just the beginning, not the end. Again, I don't think Paul was knocking discipline. If I have faith, but I am too undisciplined or lazy to have works, the faith is meaningless. I think what he was saying is that our works should naturally flow from our faith. We don't prove that we have faith by our works. We have works because of our faith. The problem is that so many times I substitute a living, active faith for a checkbox of religion. Did I read my Bible today? Check. Did I pray today? Check. Was I nice to people today? Check. Now that the groundwork of not checking the box has been laid, how do we go about living in a faith and not just discipline? There are two ideas that have helped me. First, act like Christ. When we look through the whole Bible, who is the best example of living by faith and being guided by the Spirit? Of course, the answer is Jesus. So here are some questions to think about. How are you like Christ? Are you compassionate to those who are struggling, like Jesus was with the woman at the well? Are you filled with passion for what God says is right and wrong, like when he ran the money changers out of the temple? Do you care about the people who follow you, the people you can mentor, the people that look up to you, like Jesus did with the disciples? Find what it is that you like about Jesus and what it is about Jesus that you are drawn to, then start living these things in your life. Second, let the Spirit guide you. Look at the gifts of the Spirit that are talked about in the Bible. Find one or two that you feel pulled towards or ones that you are already doing. Then give in completely to what you feel the Spirit is guiding you to do. Then get out of the way. As much as you can, don't make it about you. Don't make your work about how great you are or how spiritual you are. The work is only about showing others who God is, His love, and helping others find a relationship with Him. So in conclusion, faith without works is dead. Our works will come from the Spirit working through us as we act like Christ and show others His love. Our works do not come from or reflect how good we are, but it should show how great and loving He is.
You know, Bear, that's a difficult thing because you're drawing on finding a balance. Two things that go together. And when I think of that, I think of if you took common table salt and you split it into its two components, each component by itself is deadly, okay? Mm-hmm. But combined together, they are healthy. So it's like you take faith and you separate it from works, or works from faith, however you want to put it, and they're deadly. They're religious. Mm-hmm. One says great words of comfort but does nothing. The other one works himself to a bone but doesn't believe in anything but their own works. Mm-hmm. So to do that, I find there's two words. When you were reading this, it came to my mind. One is passion and one is compassion. Mm-hmm. Because having passion only to do something, no matter how great, but not having compassion, which means the works I want to do issue from my heart because I identify with them. I think that's whenever we have that right combination.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, so the word that comes to my mind when you say that is love. So, when I get up in the morning, I'm not always going to want to get up and read when I get up in the morning. Some days I'm tired. But there has to be a love for doing that, a love for Christ, a love for relationship, a longing for that at some level, or discipline is just punishment. It's in the name, right? We discipline our children. It's just punishment. And maybe it's the same way with faith and works. Our work should issue out of the love that we feel for the people around us, the mission that God's put us on. Whatever it is, there has to be a passion for what that is, a love for the people, a passion for what's being said or done. It can't just be discipline because, again, discipline without love, compassion, passion, discipline is just punishment.
Oh, I think when I think of discipline, I think of the word desert. Which is going in there without anything but that sure determination to get through it. And then all you can say in the end is, I got through it.
I survived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you say, well, is it rewarding? You want to go back through it? No.
Yeah, no. Yes. Yes. I'm glad I went through grad school. I'm never doing it again.
Yes. I agree. So how does a person start developing faith and works? In other words, do you have faith and then you do the works? Do you do the works having faith that God will bless them? I mean, within reason of the works that are described in the Bible.
So this may be wrong, and this is going to sound a little funny, but I think it starts with discipline. So you have to do what's right first, right? You have to be committed that you believe the words that are coming out of that Bible, and you're going to do them whether, as you always say, and I'm not sure what this means, whether it hair lips the Pope, right? We're going to do what we know is right because we know it's right to do. Start with that. Start with discipline. Start doing the right thing as a start. And then I believe the Spirit comes to you as you're doing what's right, as you show the earnestness, studying to show thyself approved, a workman unto God, right? Mm-hmm. As you do that, the Spirit comes to you, and I think over time, like any relationship, you build the love for it. Mm-hmm. But you have to start with discipline first, just like a relationship. You can't be dating a lot of women and say, I'm committed to you, right? You have to be disciplined to be committed to that one person before that relationship moves forward.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it reminds me, I was... back when I was a young guy, 16, I think, 16 and on until I was 19, we had an expression, when you dated a girl and she was the only one, it was called going steady.
Uh-huh.
And I was very committed to all 7 girls I was going steady with. But I tell you, I'll give you a funny story of what happened. And at that particular time, I had 3 girlfriends I really liked. And about noon, I went over to one of them's house, and she said, "Oh, you got to eat lunch with us. You got to eat. Have you eaten lunch?" Uh-huh. No, okay, I'll eat lunch. So it was good food, and I ate lunch. And so after that, I'm like, okay, I got to go visit my second girlfriend. I go over to her house, and they're just finishing lunch. And she says, "Oh, you've got to eat. Please, let me fix your plate. It's very important." I thought, well, I couldn't exactly tell her where I had been. So I said, okay, I'll eat. So I ate a second lunch. So the third when I went over, she said, "I've saved lunch for you." I'm like, oh my God. I tell you, I even ate that, but the rest of the day I was like so miserable. I'm like, oh, they were so happy and I was so miserable. So no, I don't think you can have a multiplicity of onlys. And yeah. I think you're right. I think when we start with discipline, because I want to please the Lord.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to please Him. When you start with that, then it's not hard because I don't think there's anyone or anything out there that can compete with God for His goodness.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to the scripture where it says, "Taste and see that the Lord is good." And if you don't jump in there and do your part, no tasting occurs. And I've found, and again, I don't think you should live by discipline. You have to get off of the milk. And I think the milk to meat is. Discipline is the milk, right? You're a baby. You have to be disciplined as a baby. You have to discipline yourself to it, and then you shift over to meat. But I think in what I've noticed through discipline is that the days that I do what I know to do, what I know is right, the days that I read my Bible, the days that I actively manage my attitude, that I actively manage how I interact with the people around me, the day goes better and I get the rewards of that. I get the peace, the love, the joy. That starts coming in, and that becomes a building process where I start to crave the love, the joy, the peace, the peace of mind, the being able to interact with people the way I want to. I start to crave that, and I think that's where the love starts to build. That's where you really want to kind of commune with Christ. And not to discourage anybody at all, it's a growing process. I'm a big believer that God's although his yoke is easy and his burden is light, it's still a yoke and a burden. You still got to do your part.
Yeah, absolutely you do. Absolutely. Thank you, sir. I think that's astounding wisdom, and I do appreciate every word of it.
Thank you, Paul.
Bye.
Hey y'all, thanks for joining us for Around the Supper Table. At Sanctuary Family Farms, we want to be real. Whether that's through our blogs, daily verses, or even Nana's recipes, we want to share the messages that God has laid on each of our hearts. If you liked what you heard today or want to get in touch with us, you can find us on Facebook and YouTube at Sanctuary Family Farms or our website at www.sanctuaryfamilyfarms.com, where we share our recipes and blogs and sell farm fresh beef and pork. We can't wait for you to join us again for next week's episode.